Hola a toda la comunidad Oracle hispana y al mundo. Bueno, en la entrevista de hoy estamos en compañía de un integrante muy particular de la comunidad Oracle hispana. Él es Dan Magan. Dan vive en Florida, en Estados Unidos, y a pesar de no querer reconocerlo, habla bastante bien el castellano. Dan es un desarrollador senior e instructor en la empresa Skill Builders. Su carrera como desarrollador comenzó con MySQL y PHP hasta que tropezó con Apex, tecnología a la que se convirtió inmediatamente. Desde entonces ha dedicado sus esfuerzos en programación para aprender más acerca de Oracle y las tecnologías basadas en web en general. Dan está certificado como Oracle Application Express Expert y como Oracle PLSQL Developer Certified Associate, habiendo sido también premiado como Oracle Ace. Además de su rutina de trabajo, es uno de los máximos contribuyentes en el foro de Apex de OTN. Mantiene también su propio blog de Oracle y Apex y regularmente realiza presentaciones en varios eventos y reuniones de grupos de usuarios. Bueno, muchas gracias Dan por estar con nosotros y muchas gracias por darnos esta entrevista.
Muchas gracias, gracias por tenerme.
Dan, en próximas entrevistas, nos prometió que va a intentar contestar las preguntas en español, pero por ahora vamos a empezar con la primera, la va a responder en español y las otras las va a responder en inglés, ya que se siente más cómodo, y luego nosotros vamos a realizar las traducciones pertinentes para toda la comunidad. Bueno, ¿qué te parece, Dan, si empezamos con las preguntas?
Sí, está bien, vamos.
Ok, bueno, ¿qué es Application Express y para qué se utiliza?
Bueno, Oracle Application Express o Apex es una herramienta que se usa en el desarrollo de las bases de datos. Se utiliza para crear aplicaciones web en las bases de datos de Oracle. Normalmente cuando personas piensan en el desarrollo de bases de datos, no piensan en aplicaciones web, ¿verdad? Al
Ujú.
contrario, piensan en SQL y PLSQL, las cuales son usadas para ejecutar consultas y manipular datos.
Ujú.
Estos lenguajes son mayormente al lado servidor, que no permiten al programador interactuar con el usuario final.
Ok.
Apex puede ser definido como la conexión desconocida que permite al programador mostrar reportes, formularios, gráficas y mucho más que otras podrían acceder en un navegador web. Desde Oracle 11G, Apex ha sido incluido con cada edición de la base de datos y se describe como una opción sin costo de la base de datos. Eso significa que se puede utilizar para crear aplicaciones dentro de los términos de su contrato de licencia de base de datos.
Ujú.
Y con una licencia de CPU no hay límites de usuarios finales.
Ok, maravilloso. ¿En cuáles escenarios es recomendado desarrollar con Application Express?
This is a really important question that comes up quite often, and to be honest, it's a little difficult to answer because there are so many different things to consider when choosing any development platform, especially today with so many languages to choose from as well, with Java, Ruby, PHP, .NET. The list goes on, and it's growing today faster than ever before. So when I answer the question, I often like to take some of these considerations into account. Let's start with the type of application you want to build, because this is an easy one. Apex is used to build web-based applications that are accessed via a browser. So if you want to create a client-side application like Microsoft Word, then Apex isn't for you. But let's face it, almost everything these days is going to the web or even now to the cloud, including traditional desktop applications like Word. So I don't think this will affect many people, but it's something to be aware of. The next factor to consider is the size of the project. Apex is really great in the hands of smaller development teams. that are building small to medium-sized applications. For example, organizations often use Apex to create custom applications to support the needs of various departments within the organization, or even to extend the functionality of their enterprise CRM or ERP, like the eBusiness Suite. However, Apex probably wouldn't be the best choice to actually build a CRM or ERP from scratch. But here's an important thing I want to point out. People often hear that Apex is best for small to medium-sized applications, and they think, Apex isn't good for big applications, and that's a negative, so we'll use Java instead because it can do everything. But here's the thing. Most companies that are engaged in a discussion to use Apex aren't trying to build large systems like ERPs. They're working on smaller applications that allow them to do what they do, only better and faster. And choosing a language that's as complicated as Java can actually have a negative impact on their ability to create those applications in a timely fashion. But that's where Apex is really strong. Another factor is the location of data and the data that the application has to access and manipulate. So Apex was built by Oracle for Oracle. It's not going to run in SQL Server. It's not going to work in MySQL. So if you need to work with data that's outside of the Oracle database, then Apex may not be the best option for you. Having said that, if some of your data, the minority, is outside of the Oracle database, then you're not without options. You could use heterogeneous services or web services to allow Apex to work with disparate systems, but I just wouldn't do that for the majority of your data, just where it's needed. Another factor, this is another important one, is the skill set of your developers. Do you have Java or .NET developers? If so, these developers are going to be best working with those languages. But if you have developers with expertise in SQL or PL/SQL, then Apex can be a very powerful tool in their hands. Oracle Forms developers, for example, could easily transition into Apex. What's really great about Apex is that it's declarative, meaning we use wizards to create components like forms and reports, and subsequently we use property screens to make changes to what we've created. Even when you're very new to Apex, whether or not you have programming experience, you can become very productive very fast. Later, as you learn more and the requirements grow, you'll find that Apex doesn't limit you to its declarative processes. If you want to use custom PL/SQL to process data, you can. If you want to integrate the latest JavaScript widget you just found, you can do that too. The last factor I want to address, the last factor I'll touch on, is that of cost. And of course, this is a really important one as well. As I mentioned before, Apex is a no-cost option for the database. So provided you already have a license for Oracle, then you don't have to pay additional license fees to use Apex. And this is huge in today's times. Developers are being asked to do more with less, and this makes Apex very attractive. And speaking of cost, licensing fees aside, if your developers have the skill set that matches Apex, their productivity, the speed with which they can deliver applications, will be greatly enhanced with a tool like Apex, and they can save a lot of time and maintenance costs going forward.
¿Qué debemos hacer cuando queremos comenzar a probar el producto?
Starting with Apex couldn't be any easier. Oracle runs a public instance of Apex specifically for this purpose. You can get started by going to apex.oracle.com. When the page loads, just click on the Sign Up button, and a wizard will walk you through the startup process. Within just a few minutes, you'll be provisioned a database schema as well as a workspace in Apex where you can log in and start exploring. One of the great things about Apex is that it can be run in multiple languages. So if you're more comfortable working in another language, then you can change that on the login page or the home page of your workspace. What I recommend for people that are new to Apex is that they click on the link in their workspace homepage that says Learn More. You'll find that on the right in a section titled About. Once you click that link, you'll see all kinds of information about Apex in whatever language you're running Apex in, which is a really fantastic way to learn about some of the capabilities within the product. There are also some sample applications that can easily be installed in your workspace if you navigate to the application builder. Again, look on the right. It's the section titled Tasks, and you'll see a link that says Sample Applications. If you click that, another wizard will walk you through the process of installing up to 4 different sample applications, and you can use those to learn from, which is fantastic.
Ok. ¿Y dónde encontramos recursos y documentación acerca de Application Express?
There are different ways to get to the documentation for Apex, but I'll keep it simple and recommend people use the same URL I mentioned before, apex.oracle.com. On that page, you'll see a section titled Getting Started, and beneath that, you'll see a link that says Application Express Documentation. When you get to that page, you'll see that there's lots of different parts to the documentation for Apex. They cover everything from installation to APIs. But what I recommend people to start with are 2 parts specifically. The 2-day Developer's Guide and the Application Express Builder's Guide. The 2-day Developer's Guide is a really great introduction to Apex. It'll even walk you through the process of creating your first application. On the other hand, the Application Express Builder's Guide is the more complete manual for Apex that can be read or used as a reference guide.
¿Qué libros y autores acerca de Apex nos recomiendas?
There have been a number of books published on Apex over the years, but lately Apex has published the most up-to-date and comprehensive set of books on Apex. The book I would recommend everyone to start with is Beginning Oracle Application Express. As the title suggests, it's a book for beginners, and it does a great job of walking readers through the basics of Apex. It starts off with the history of the product, and by the end of the book, you will have created your first Apex application, and you'll be prepared to start creating applications on your own. After that book, I recommend readers go to either Pro Oracle Application Express or Expert Oracle Application Express. Now, the titles of these 2 books suggest that you should read one, Pro, and then the other, Expert. But the truth is that they're both great books, and they go into lots of details to help developers with the various tasks you'll need to do when developing applications. So I recommend you go to both. Expert Oracle Application Express was a book that I had the pleasure of co-authoring. There were actually a total of 13 authors that participated in writing that book, each of which was a very respected member of the Apex community, and each of which wrote a single chapter. What really makes the book special is that none of us made any money from it, and we never will. 100% of the author proceeds were donated to the families of 2 members, very important members of the Apex development team that died, Carl Backstrom and Scott Spatafor.
Solo quiero decir que han hecho un excelente trabajo y agradecerles por el gran aporte realizado a la comunidad de Apex y su gran gesto de humildad. Bueno, ahora nos gustaría saber qué es KSCOP y qué significa este gran show para la comunidad de desarrolladores de Apex.
Kscope is an amazing conference. It's put on every year by the Oracle Development Tools User Group, or ODTUG for short. I recently wrote a blog post for ODTUG as a guest author, And in the post, I talk about some of my experiences at the conference over the years. I remember my first visit to Kscope. It was truly a life-changing event for me. I was able to meet so many people that I had been conversing with over the years, whether it was via the Apex forum or blogs or whatever. In fact, had I not gone that year, I never would have had the chance to meet Carl. Carl was one of the people for whom we wrote the Expert Oracle Application Express book for. He had a big influence on my development career, so I was really happy to have met him. Of course, meeting all kinds of great people isn't the only draw to the conference. The content for Oracle development tools is second to none. For Apex specifically, there is no better conference. This year, I was invited to lead the Apex track team, which was truly an honor. There were 8 people in total on the team, and we got to decide what the subtracks were going to be, and then we poured through the various abstracts that were submitted and decided, which would make it and which wouldn't. And it was a really neat experience. I can tell you this year is going to be another great year for Apex at Kscope. I think one of the most popular tracks will be the one on mobile development and advanced UI design. I can't wait to hear some of those presentations.
Bueno, es muy interesante todo lo que estás hablando con respecto a Apex, pero en este momento ya tenemos que empezar a cerrar la entrevista, pero quisiera saber si quieres agregar algo más.
The only thing I'd like to add is that the web is the future, and Apex is a natural fit for that future. There's lots of exciting new features coming very soon, from mobile support to enhanced web service integration. So I really think this is a great time to get involved, and I recommend everyone at least take a look and see what Apex is all about.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias, Dan, por esta entrevista que nos has podido brindar para la comunidad Oracle hispana. Te esperamos en otra entrevista y ya con la intención de que puedas hacerla en español, que todos estaremos encantados de poder escucharte. Y bueno, queda abierta la puerta para una próxima entrevista, ¿te parece?
Bueno, quiero agradecerles por invitarme a su programa y a la comunidad Oracle España. Fue un placer haber participado en el podcast y ojalá si en el futuro podamos hacerlo de nuevo, pero totalmente en español.
Seguro que sí, porque tienes un buen español. Bueno, te agradecemos mucho, Dan, y bueno, será entonces hasta la próxima. Chao.
Bueno, chao, chao.